All right, Steve, he mentioned track position so important as a crew chief. This is one of those racetracks where you've got to be perfect. You guys have got to make sure you can't lose any positions on pit road because it's so hard to gain on the track.
Well, the game's already started when the two drivers were doing their walk there with the cars fired up. If you listen, they fired up and shut right off. Drivers were already saving fuel just to try to help their pit crews put less fuel in. And we talk about downforce and trim and all of these things. So this newly configured Atlanta Motor Speedway, now having its 4th race, is easy wide open if you're out there by yourself. The more speed you put in your car, the harder it is to stay wide open throttle. Now we're going to put all the cars out there together. Air is going to be super turbulent. Everything is going to be more difficult, Junior. So while wide open is the goal, it's anything but straightforward.
Yeah, pretty incredible. I just got to say, man, how awesome it was to see Richard Childress driving that 29 car. Talking to Harvick throughout the week, and even today, he was telling us how amped up Richard was to be able to be in that car. Come down pit road before the rest of the field is, just revving that thing over and over and over. He's so excited.
It was cool. I was with you, Rick. I thought he was going to try a burnout. I wasn't sure what we were going to see.
Well, he looked like he was having fun, and that's great for Hall of Famer Richard Childress, who has been such a staple in this sport, you know, celebrating the 75 years of the sport. And Richard Childress has been right there and a part of it for so long, and a very important part of it. Not only, like I said, as a driver to start off with, but also as an owner.
Yeah, I mean, he's seen basically everything, you know, without a doubt. Well, his anxiety, for me, is running a little bit high. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to see here when we drop the green. Let's listen in what the 14 has to say.
Thank you, guys. All the work on this thing, obviously, you got a really fast power ride, so got nothing to lose. So be aggressive, but smart all day long.
Okay, so that's a great pep talk, but I'm not sure if aggressive and smart work together. But that is the knife edge the drivers have to be. You cannot sit back. You have to be aggressive, but you can't be silly. You have to be smart. That's a very dangerous line to walk.
We'll see how aggressive the drivers are. Fans on their feet. 60 laps the first stage. 2 by 2 they come by the grandstands. Eric Almirola, Ryan Blaney. We're racing in Atlanta.
Gonna be green, green, green. All of them.
Still side by side up front. Waiting to see somebody get pushed clear. A lot of good help from behind Jeff, pushing down into turn 3.
Up to speed now. Eric Almirola surges ahead. Joey Logano behind him, fighting for that second spot right now with Blaney.
You can see immediately a lot of drivers think the outside lane is going to be the place to go. They all jump to the outside, leaving only a few on the bottom. Be interesting to see, Junior, how that works out as this run goes on.
Exactly what we saw last night in the Xfinity race. A lot of these guys must have been watching, paying attention to that outside line being the more dominant line.
Right in the middle of the racetrack, we see Almirola leading the pack now. Almirola, Logano, Blaney, Briscoe, Harrison Burton, the top 5.
Still wondering, these guys are probably filling their cars out, not trying to take any risks. You see them getting in order right now. As soon as they start to get more confidence in the grip in the car, they're going to start making moves.
2 by 2, you see Todd Gilliland in the 38 on the inside of William Byron in the 24. Those two are side by side, but in front of them it's single file.
And riding along right here, Kyle Busch and his Cheddar's onboard camera. You see what he's trying to do? He's trying to get right to the rear bumper of the car in front of him. Brad Keselowski wants to slide up in front of him to fill that outside lane, but Kyle Busch is not going to let him do it. You're going to have to pass me on the inside, buddy. Not going to get in front of me.
A little bit of movement out of Austin Cindric in the 2 with some momentum pulling away from Harvick in the 4. He seems to be dropping back on that inside line. Reddick in the 45 making a little more ground. We see Mark Truex Jr. going by. William Byron also. That inside line, not the place to be for Harvick right now.
Everybody lined up on the outside, and you do not want to let another car on your right rear quarter panel. That's exactly what's going to happen to you. Harvick trying to squeeze his way in front of that 38 car.
Forced his way in front of Gilliland. We'll see if Gilliland keeps giving him that same space. He will. Looks like he might put the bumper to the back of him. Field lining up. Now as we see just a few cars ducking down to that low line, trying the lower line to see if it's the shorter distance, maybe a little quicker here in Atlanta.
Side by side down the back straightaway, the 54 and the 5. Larson on the outside. Here comes the 45 of Reddick. He's thinking about getting up there and helping the other Toyota, but then decides to get back in line. This will be a tough one for Gibbs.
Great look on the Toyota onboard. The 5 of Kyle Larson did just what Dale Jr. was talking about. He keeps working to the right rear quarter panel, hoping that the line will line up behind him. But at this point, you see the speed now on the bottom. The upper lane losing a little momentum.
Yeah, you as a driver, you want to be looking in that mirror to decide which lane to block. You do not want to give them the bottom or the top right now. You have to prefer to go to the top. Do not let them get to your right rear quarter panel. If they want to pass you, make them go to the bottom.
10 has led all 4 races this year, all 4 drafting races that have been run. As we see the Toyotas trying to work together, there was some comments from the manufacturers saying, hey, we need to do our best to work together and help each other out. Now you see the 11 also joining in. Those Toyotas lining up, seeing if they can get some momentum built up on that inside line.
Here comes another Toyota, Rick. The 11 car, Denny Hamlin, we ride on board the Coca-Cola camera. The 45 drifting up the corner a little bit, out of the gas.
In front of the grandstands once again, Almirola, Logano, Blaney, Briscoe, Harrison Burton still the top 5 leading the Ford Brigade, Marty.
Riding on board the Coca-Cola on board with Denny Hamlin. There's the driver shot as well. So the Toyota crew chiefs and drivers had a meeting today to kind of say, hey, let's work together as best we can. Dale Jr., we hear that all the time at Daytona and Talladega, and they're able to execute it, make the manufacturers work together. It's tougher here at Atlanta. Why is that?
The moves just happen so fast, and a lot of times another manufacturer might do something you're just not sure of, that you don't trust, that you know might be the wrong move. It's hard for you to commit to that knowing you're both going to lose. So just hard to know what everybody's game plan is because the moves here come so much faster.
Looking back on, Denny here, we're looking back on him, and you're listening to that throttle. Very rarely do they get out of full throttle, especially Eric Almirola. When he's up front, he's burning a lot more gas than anybody else leading this crew around, but everybody else is trying to draft and use that draft.
The 45 hanging tough though on the inside of Larson, Rick, and that 45 behind him, Tyler Reddick, getting out of the gas a little bit down there in 3 and 4. That car not handling so good on the bottom, but he continues to get runs underneath the 2, continuing to get help from Denny.
And you could see the effort. Toyota's on the bottom as part of the plan. I really believe that, the 45 would rather be up in line behind Cindric, but when they go down in the corner, he goes to the bottom, continually trying to push that black 19, or excuse me, the black 54 of Ty Gibbs.
And for the Toyotas to make this work, they're going to have to all clear. That's what's going to be difficult. If only one clears, and then they move up, then it's going to hang the other ones out. So you can see there's some spread between the cars, so there's somewhere to go. So if you can get just barely in front of the guy, then you just slide up in front of him and take that spot. One car at a time.
And again, there is an out of bounds here in Atlanta, that double white line down at the bottom and right next to the apron. You cannot go below that double yellow or double white line to improve your position. A very emotional start to the race here at Atlanta. Kevin Harvick, his final start here at Atlanta, where his first win came from. First caution comes out here at Atlanta. It's for Harrison Burton, who spins coming off of turn 2. And the AMR safety crew to him. He was trying to roll forward, but all the tires are down and he's stuck. He can't roll.
Yeah, so you see center of the lane, just a big wiggle. He was on the outside of the 19. You see the big wiggle. Great save. Great wreck avoidance by the 11 of Hamlin, the 38 of Todd Gilliland. And then the 21 just has no choice but to lock it down. Fortunately, pretty light contact to the inside wall. But watch right there. You see that wiggle? That could have been a very big accident into the outside wall. A great job by Harrison, and fortunate that the drivers behind him, I mean, look at this. Denny Hamlin has him lined up. So doesn't the 38. No. Such a great job by those drivers.
Just breaks loose there coming out of turn 2. Around he goes. We're riding along with Denny here.
Yeah, you're going to want to hold your breath. Watch this.
With you trying to put your middle. Watch him stay in it here. Come on, stay in it. Come on.
You know, we talk a lot about drivers and drafting, and to be good, you have to, just make moves. Can't think about them. Well, that's racing. Think about wreck avoidance. I mean, we hear the spotter directing, but everything we see Denny and those drivers doing, that has to be an instant reaction. I don't think that's something that I really question. Jeff and Junior, you're like, are you even listening to your spotter, or is it just background noise at that point?
Yeah, I think it's mostly background noise. You're paying attention to what's going on in front of you. You hear them when you're really listen to your spotter when you have a lot of smoke and you cannot see what's going on. But that is a great example of just racecraft from those guys missing that wreck.
Yeah, and those intense moments when you're sitting 2 wide or 3 wide, especially at Daytona and Talladega, I would always have my spotter, TJ Majors, repeat everything, right? I might not catch it the first time, but the second time it's going to sink in. I'm going to remember exactly what you're trying to tell me. So he would always repeat the more important things. But it's interesting to see how the racing's going. Everybody right into the top line, single filed out, and then right as we went to break, the cars got 2 and 3 wide, and the racing really picked up. And you saw dirty air and a slick racetrack gets the 21 off of 2.
Yeah, and it got 2 and 3 wide because cars started handling poorly, and drivers were able to go to the bottom and make moves or go to the top and make moves. And that's what everybody's concerned about. Like, they don't know how much grip this racetrack is. You just saw one car go around. There was a lot of bad handling cars out there. Drivers and teams are going to make adjustments and probably put tires on as often as they can.
That's right. Pretty exciting down here, guys.
Well, come on back up to the booth. We'll continue to call this race from up here. Harrison Burton, he didn't take the window net down. Steve, he wants to continue winning this race.
Yeah, looking for just assistance. Really no damage. It's just flat tires. So NASCAR will assist him back to pit road. He'll try to rejoin the race.
NBC Sports coverage of NASCAR on USA is brought to you by Sonic. The Sonic 299 Strawberry Shortcake Snowball Slush Float. For only a limited time, only at Sonic. Toyota, let's go places. Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. Is it the best Coke ever? And by Bank of America. What would you like the power to do? Few cars coming to pit road, Steve.
Yeah, so, you know, there is the 21 still getting drugged back to his pit stall. There is a few strategy conversations about how many pit stops. I really think the biggest thing is, if you're not in the front half of the field, keep as much fuel in it as possible. So when the whole field comes, you can just spend as little time as possible in the pit box. We're just going to have to wait and see what the strategy and the theory of these guys are. I know everybody talked about, you know, staying ahead of the strategy, which means keep fuel in it. So at some point, you can kind of pass cars on pit road. That's going to be the easiest place to do it.
Saw Ross Chastain there in the one win already. Take another look at what happened with Harrison. 177 miles an hour when that thing went sideways on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a quick bobble, right? It just gets a little light, and around he goes. The unfortunate part, why there was no damage, you know, he's currently 3 laps down. He's getting ready to be at least 4 as he sits in his pit box. So, you know, he can pass anyone who has in an accident, but it'd be shocking if the 21 could get back on the lead lap. Kim?
Well, Christopher Bell is absolutely marching through the field, currently runs in the 17th position after starting 36. I talked to crew chief Adam Stevens. He said, yes, qualifying surprised us, but we have no reason to worry. In the spring, he reminded me, they went to the rear with unapproved adjustments and ultimately were able to finish 3rd. They felt very confident about what they brought here this evening, Marty, and they should be ones to watch as we continue throughout the night.
Kim, plus 10 for William Byron, 18th to 8th. How does he feel about the car? Listen to the radio.
But I was better than everybody else. Everybody has the same problem. It was pretty fun right there. I'd say, I mean, definitely gotta handle good. I just want a smidgen bar and exit, 1 number probably.
That problem he's talking about is being just a little bit too free, but William Byron certainly coming up through the field. And Steve, I did just chat with Rodney Childers a moment ago about why he brought Kevin Harvick down pit road. He's thinking further ahead, as you mentioned, it's just going to shorten their stop in stage 2. And what he told me was, we're not going to have to wait on fuel as long as everybody else will when we finally do come down pit road. And I think what he's talking there is the stop at the end of the stage.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you can change 4 tires with these single lug nuts so fast that if you need more than about 12 or 13 gallons of gas, you actually have to wait on the Sunoco fuel to be put in the car. So you kind of keep it to this threshold. And for the William Byron radio, very rarely do you hear a driver talk about how fun it is. I know they're having fun, but they're so focused on the task at hand that when I hear fun out of a driver, that's usually the driver I like to watch.
Let's check in with Peacock Pit Box. Brad, KP, what did you guys think about seeing Richard Childress pilot that 29 around here?
Listen, brought back a lot of memories for me. I raced against Richard Childress when I first started. But to know what they accomplished 22 years ago, I guess, Kevin Harvick and Richard Childress with that 29 car, Will Lynn, Chocolate Myers, Danny Lawrence, that whole group. It was pretty emotional for me to watch.
Absolutely. Kevin Harvick had actually driven my truck 2 years before that. He went to Richard to drive his Xfinity car, and then that opportunity became available. And that was incredible to watch, very sentimental. But right now, there's not a lot of passing. It's tough to get by. They run 184 miles an hour in the corner. I love that. Rick, they're getting ready to drop the flag. It's going to be fun to watch.
We're going to do it again. And let me just throw this at you. First, we'll go to Kim.
And Kyle Busch had an unfortunate pit stop. They had trouble on the right rear. That very slow stop relegated them to the end of the field. So they had nothing to lose. Randall Burnett, the crew chief, asked Kyle, do you need anything else? He said, let's make another adjustment. Way too loose. So they pitted again for a right front adjustment.
They caught up to the back of the field. And once again, under green, Almirola, Logano, Blaney, Briscoe, Larson up here as well. He's trying to ruin this Ford parade as we see Larson in the 5 pushing Blaney now on that bottom line. One thing that will bring the intensity up is the possibility of severe weather in the area. So a lot of drivers drivers are hearing their crew chiefs and their teams tell them, hey, as much track position as you can get now, grab it as quickly as you can.
Front 3 gets single file, 2 by 2 behind them, and to your point, Rick, you know, 260 lap race, 130 laps would be official. So you just never know. Summer, heat, storms of building. Now we see 3 wide right here. The 24 up top pushing that bright colored 24, pushing the 45. On the bottom right, you see the 8 of Kyle Busch chasing that white and red line. Let's listen in.
Just so you know, there's weather moving in. It's probably an hour and 15 minutes, maybe an hour and a half away. Be close to being able to get to halfway, just so you know.
Well, if he's saying it, if Randall Burnett's saying it to the driver of the 8, Kyle Busch, it's going to be on everybody's radios, and that just took a 3-hour race to an hour and a half race, and you can see kind of everybody knows it's time to go. The give and take just got shortened up.
Up on the wheel, everybody. Early in this one, 26 laps. Now complete. Up front, it's Almirola, but he has a mirror full of Logano right on his back bumper. Blaney there as well.
And the question you ask yourself, if you're one of these front 5 drivers, if we play nice, if we stay in line, can we break away from the group behind us? Can we actually break this draft? Because they're side by side. I mean, you see a car length between them, all playing pretty nice. I don't know if that's by choice or, committed to that. Now you see the 4 of Kevin Harvick, that green car on the high side. 47 of Ricky Stenhouse right in front of him. Haley right behind him. A lot of moving back and forth.
Yeah, it looked like Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was blocking that pack. Moving from line to line, seeing where the momentum would come from to see if he could get a push to move toward the front.
Rick, we always talk about Bristol kind of being like fighter jets in a soup bowl.
Yeah.
I will tell you in person, I think this has overtaken Bristol as far as just maintain space. It's hard for your brain to understand it's only in a 1.5 mile track. They never slow down. Middle of the corner, middle of the straightaway, it's the same speed. The runs happen so fast. You just don't have a whole lot of time to plan. It's very reactionary.
It is breathtaking to watch these cars work their way through the turns at such incredible speeds. Martin Truex Jr. trying to get by the 2 of Austin Cindric. The momentum continuing. Almirola, Logano, Blaney, Larson, Truex Jr. top 5. Cindric, Reddick, Byron, Briscoe, and Gibbs the top 10. Looking back from the Coca-Cola camp, Denny Hamlin as he has Seabell trying to work on his outside.
And as that happened, there's a battle up front. We see the 19 of Truex moving forward, giving a big shove to the 12 of Blaney. Now it's kind of stacked everybody up. Look at the Hendrick teammates. The 5 and the 24 trying to roll the bottom.
Kyle Larson looked like he was going 3-4 miles an hour faster than Martin Truex Jr. when he entered the turn. Got to the inside of him, but couldn't complete that pass. Now they're door to door fighting for that 4th spot. Look at Larson move up, trying to push a little more air onto the spoiler of the 19. As we take a look at the Xfinity fastest lap, Austin Cindric has posted it. It was on lap 28, 184 miles an hour average around this 1.5 miles.
Yeah, when you say average, normally at a 1.5 mile track, that's because it's very fast on the straightaway. You slow down 20 miles an hour in the corner. The average is pretty consistent.
All the way around.
Larson's going to jump up in line. This is that moment where he thinks he probably wants to get up in line, but he has that 24, that teammate on the bottom, so he kind of has to stay committed to that. That's going to allow the 2, that yellow and green car, to kind of come up and block. Nope, he slides back up in line. He's kind of trying to play both lanes, and look how that hurts the 24 as soon as the 5 commits to the top, but the 24 will find a hole as well.
24 drops back in behind 45 of Reddick. And now Austin Cindric ducks out of line, and he'll fall back in behind the 24. There's Chase Briscoe with a big run in the 14. Young Ty Gibbs in the 54 has fallen back to the 10th position. Now the field falling right behind Almirola, and wherever he runs, they run. That time through 1 and 2, it was the middle of the racetrack. See Chase Elliott in the 9.
Right in front of him, that 34 of Micah McDowell. a Daytona 500 winner. He always seems to find a way to survive to the finish and put himself in position on these speedway races. He always seems to need to be dealt with. If you want to win the race, you figure he's going to be kind of in the picture.
Denny Hamlin was on the outside, but Michael McDowell surging ahead now in the 34. The 9 trying to side draft Allmendinger. It's not working out so well for him. Almirola out front all 35 laps here in Atlanta.
Cheers to 25 years of the Coca-Cola racing family. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.
Great view from up above. Aero coverage brought to you by Pods. Moving this summer, save up to 30% at pods.com today. Eric Almirola, it looked like he was going to lose the lead. He had moved down the racetrack. Logano looked as though he was going to try to take the spot away. But it is still Almirola out front. Logano has been tagged as leading a lap, so he did get credit.
He went right around him, Rick, and we thought the 10 might be handling bad, the handling going away. But he drives right back into the lead to take that spot. Let's take a look at it right here. Down. See the push that the 22 is going to get from his teammate? Blaney pushes him down in the corner. He's like, it's a good run. Here we go. We'll take this one. To the bottom, the side draft slows the 10. But this push the 10 gets from the same number 12 car is going to give him that opportunity to create a run down the next straightaway back into the lead. 10 was not fine just sitting there running in second place and following the 22. He wants to be out front.
And Junior, I think that's what makes Atlanta so different than Daytona and Talladega. You obviously mastered both of those places, but I don't remember being able to lose a lead and then get a run in really a half a lap. Normally it takes a little more time to get the momentum going back forward.
Yeah, this is Daytona from the late 90s, early 2000s. That's what this reminds me of, where handling does matter. It's a little bit single file. You have to decide when you're going to make your move. You make your move and you can't clear the guy in front of you, they're going to pile up on you on the outside. And this really is very reminiscent of that time that we used to have at Daytona. Dave.
Jeff, you guys mentioned the urgency with severe weather possibly in the area. Well, Eric Almirola has done the work so far. Great track position because of the pole position he got yesterday. That put him in control of this race from the start. The only lap he hasn't led was that one where Logano passed the start-finish line before him. So he has to stay out there. Logano's already in because he won in March at this track. Eric Almirola is way out in the points. He needs a win to get in the playoffs, Marty.
Dave, other than that one move, Joey Logano has been content to ride behind Eric Almirola. What's he saying about his car? Listen in.
I have air on the nose, it's loose. If I get really close to him, I get tight. So with air on tight, but I'm mechanically loose. What do you think about running lower down the front stretch to help the bottom lane?
So, Jeff, help me understand that. If this high lane is working so well and these Fords are able to train up and run away from everybody else, why would Logano want to work the low lane and help those behind him?
Well, I think what he's thinking is just if everybody went to the low lane, would their cars drive better? Would the car just handle better on the bottom? And I think he just wants to try it and try to learn for later in the race. He knows that he can't go down there by himself. You can see right here the 45, the black car on the bottom. He's trying to make a run. Reddick, let's see if he can find a hole. He couldn't make a run, but there he piles back in and gets in front of the 20 of Bell. That's what tonight's going to be about. Go down there, see if you can make a run. If you can get a run and clear a guy, go for it. If not, you might lose a lot of spots.
Well, let's take a look at the progressive telemetry, starting with the 10 of Eric Almirola. Again, out front, 180 miles an hour. Well, not out front any longer. As once again, we see Logano get by him.
Well, when we jumped to it, he was a little off the throttle. Now back in second. You see full green, 50 here. Man, he turns left.
I don't think he makes his pass, though. Not a big enough run.
He's going to be done.
Obviously, the 12 is going to help his teammate, the 22 on the outside. The 10's going back to third, if not fourth place behind Larson here.
And he might fall further back if there's not a hole that he can jump into and no help.
And every driver sees it. Every driver. Look at Truex. He sees it. He wants to get to that 5 of Larson to hang out that 10 car. There he goes.
10 tried to get in that hole, just closed up before he could. Now he's back to fighting on the bottom, trying to figure out a way to accomplish something all on his own. That outside line adds more and more cars, though, as he runs side by side and slows down the 5, slows down to 19. That adds more cars to the back of that line. That's more positions he can lose. Eventually, you just got to say, okay, I'm going to find the hole that I can get in and get in it, right? Lose a couple spots, that's fine, but he's going to sit down here and fight. Squeezes in there.
He forced his way in front of the 45.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. I think everybody's going to be more and more aggressive. Here comes the 45 to the top. Almost in the fence, Reddick. Now 3 wide on the bottom. Christopher Bell around both cars. Can he clear them?
Almirola continuing to drop back. Bell does clear the 45. He's sideways. He's able to catch it.
What a save.
Wow.
That was insane.
That was a wreck. That is a wreck. I mean, he left tire tracks at 175 miles an hour.
They might not be done. Look at how it's stacked up this whole field right here.
And nobody wanting to give an inch now with under 10 laps to go in stage 1.
That was awesome.
Almirola has fallen back. Now he's on the front bumper of the 16 of Allmendinger. Take another look at what happened.
That was Almirola trying to fill that hole, and then on the front straight, Bell coming up. Oh, the 2 gets in the right rear quarter panel. That was an incredible save.
I'm going to tell you what. Whew. I mean, how long until you catch your breath? I haven't caught my breath. I wasn't driving.
Look at the 20. Christopher Bell's come from the back of the field. He had an issue in inspection. Driving this car all the way to the front. I don't really think he's doing it with a ton of help either. The car's handling so well running around the bottom of this racetrack. He's taking big runs and doing a lot with them.
A little bit of side drafting there as well as he tries to slow the cars down beside him.
Got some good help coming now with 34 McDowell back there. Now the 10 Almirola's back in this. A.J. Allmendinger, look at the 19 Truex to the bottom. Had a run, the 5 lifted.
Now don't get greedy. Now don't get greedy. Get behind the 12. He didn't do it.
2x2 for second, and a big push coming from the 5. That's going to push that 12 a little bit further forward to get to the back bumper of the 22 of Logano. Under 7 to go.
I think Truex thought, maybe this time I can be greedy because he sees that 20, but the 20, his teammate's going to bail on him. He's trying to back in and let Truex in. He's trying to back up, allow Truex to have that spot. Truex is still going to stay fighting on the bottom. Man, it's fun to watch these guys make these decisions to take the run, not take the run, to take the hole or not. Truex now, will he regret not pulling in front of that 20 car?
We'll see if the 34 of Michael McDowell can get to his back bumper. He's been very strong here in Atlanta early in this one.
Jesse Mill maybe should have gotten down there behind the 19 guys and helped push his teammate. Going to create another hole there, right there, lets him in. Coming to the end of this stage, maybe a smart move.
Look at the run by McDowell in the 34. Moves up, fighting for the third spot now. And he hasn't had a lot of help.
He's a great restricted plate racer, great at the drafting. We don't call him really restricted plate tracks anymore, but he's had a lot of great success at these places, knowing how to side draft.
Keep doing what you're doing, man. It looks good.
Knowing what to do with the runs he gets. Look at him squeeze up against those cars on the outside, sort of slows them down a little bit until the help comes from the 10 car, gets a push down into 3. He's going to drive up beside the 5 right here. You see the fire coming out of the pipes. All of these guys lift up a little bit. Almost 3 wide back here now. Byron in the middle. Is there enough room?
William Byron was in the middle, and a few cars cautiously dropping out of that 3 wide situation.
You see McDowell, he just keeps working on that model, able to make up ground in the corners. Then on the straight, they all push each other down the back straightaway. Now he's got a little bit of help.
5-0 going to the bottom.
Big run by Larson. Had a little bit of a push from the 19. Will it get him clear to the 22? He's side by side, but can't quite clear him. 3 laps to go.
All alone, not a lot of help back there behind him. Impressive, though, to see this Chevrolet trying to mix up. Truex is trying to go 3 wide here.
That slowed that 3rd lane up, and that allowed McDowell to get to the rear bumper of the 5 car.
So tight, 3 wide. Byron in the middle. Now Blaney to the lead. He's able to clear the 22. He takes over the top spot.
It's an insane racing. Incredible to watch.
Under 2 to go. Austin Cindric in the 2, ducking down.
Oh, the 22 loose there, Rick. Little bobble from him. He gathers it back up. The 5 on the inside. Can he get alongside the 12? He can't. Big push from the outside. Big run coming to the bottom here, Rick.
We'll see if Larson has anything to do with it to battle for this lead, potentially to win stage 1. Now Logano with a move. He goes to the inside. Final lap of stage 1. Can he clear the 12?
Still there, tight quarter. Still there, still there, still there, still there. Still there, top lane's gonna push better. Still there, still there, still there.
Down the back stretch for the final time of stage 1.
3 wide,
surge
Rick.
coming out of the 12. Brian Blaney pulling ahead. Larson able to clear the 22. Now Kyle Larson fighting on the inside. He's got the nose in front as they come to the stripe. Blaney gets back in front of him.
Wow.
What a battle.
Man, I don't know what you could ask for in a race. I mean, this is incredible stuff. These drivers, man, stage 1. This is what you see at the end of stage 3 for the win.
3rd stage win for Ryan Blaney. Larson was just 28 1,000ths of a second behind him as they cross the stripe right there. Truex Jr., Logano, and Bell all in the top 5. Byron, Cindric, McDowell, Reddick, and Almirola all in the top 10. NBC Sports coverage of NASCAR on USA is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Save when you bundle auto, home, or motorcycle insurance. Visit progressive.com. Credit One Bank, a credit card company. And by Gorilla Glue, for the toughest jobs on planet Earth. Good perspective from some of the fans in the infield on top of campers, RVs here. And the fans in the grandstand seeing some great racing. Since this racetrack was reconfigured, it's just every lap there's a battle for position.
Well, it's a battle for position, and just like every other super speedway, guys, there's an out-of-bounds line. Kyle Larson, I think, is okay here, but he tested all the real estate available. The rule is left side tires cannot be completely below the inside white line. Drivers, this looks okay to me, but right on the edge.
Yeah, he's on the line here. He's not over the line. So, yeah, I think that's a fair move.
That would say, great move. You got like 16 inches, right? Don't go anymore, right? So now we see the field all come to pit road. Could be a little jumbled up here. Remember, half the field pitted about 40 laps ago. Why does that matter? As we see this very long pit road around 3 and 4. Those guys that pitted need less fuel. When they get done changing tires, they'll just drop the jack and leave. Guys that haven't pitted yet, like Blaney, Larson, Truex at the front, they're going to have to probably wait to get the fuel full, even though the tires are already done being changed.
And Steve, you told me that the fuel window is going to be between 67 and 73, so they probably can't get all the way to the end of stage 2. We'll go to pit stops and Kim.
Kyle Larson at the top of your screen. He said, I'm tight running behind people, low entry. Cliff Daniel said, how tight? He said a 7, but it gets better as I got cleaner air. 4 tires, Sunoco fuel. They're waiting on the call for that fuel, Marty.
Joey Logano told Paul Wolfe, every time I try to make a move, I am absolutely sideways. You have to tighten me up. And to Steve's point, they're going to have to hold him for a little bit to make sure they get it full of fuel, Dave.
Ryan Blaney is in the playoffs by a Charlotte 600 win, and now waiting on fuel. He's going to be a little bit slow on that, but shy on playoff points. He gets one here. He will not be the first going up pit road.
19 has to turn around an issue on pit road.
Yeah, I think he had already serviced his car and was leaving. Remember, pretty small pit boxes. So many cars on the lead lap. Let's see what happens. He goes to pull out around the 48. See right here what happens. Oh, gets caught by the 34 of McDowell, and around he goes. Luckily, no crew members in the way.
NASCAR fans, NASCAR and the Premier Partners want to thank you. Visit NASCAR.com/thankyoufans to learn how you can win an exclusive diamond experience just for being a fan. And all of us are enjoying being a fan here at Atlanta. Let's go to the Peacock pit box and talk a little bit about the end of stage 1.
Listen, the end of stage 1 was crazy. Pit road was crazy. Michael McDowell gets into Martin Truex, and it looks like his day, for all practical purposes, is done. That's a heavy damage on a speedway type track, and he was only 10 points below the cut line. We talked about opportunity. That may be one that got away.
Yeah, there's a lot of damage on that race car, but my goodness, Kyle, that first stage was insane. I don't know when I've seen or felt the intensity this high this year in any of the stages. That was phenomenal to watch. Guys are going so hard, and with inclement weather possibly coming this next stage, oh man, I'm buckling up.
Rick, this next stage is going to be crazy. We saw the stage points right there. A name precariously missing, Chase Elliott.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he's a little bit further down the list right now, being scored 14th.
Well, we also have a bunch of penalties right here, right? We have the 11 will be called for equipment interference. The 20 will have a penalty for removing equipment. And the 24 has a safety violation. We'll try to get some looks as we look through all of our video, but the result is those 3 cars, 3 very fast cars, all now at the back of the field.
And the 78 speeding on pit road as we get ready for the green flag. Stage 2 is underway. Larson on the outside. Blaney on the inside. A lot of help behind him. Logano with a big shove. And he'll put Blaney out front. Now we'll see if Blaney is going to try to block.
3 Penske's on the bottom row.
A little bit of run out of the 5 of Larson. He's going to come up to the door of that 12 of Ryan Blaney. And we saw the 22 of Logano move up. We'll see. Looks like he'll stay in line with his teammate down on the bottom of the racetrack.
Kind of felt like he wanted to get up, afraid to run that bottom lane, but he had his teammate down there and didn't want to hang him out.
12's way out in front now. 3-4 car lengths out in front. He's going to have a huge run from the back. Both lanes coming up to him. Does he jump in front of this 5 and slow him down? I feel like that eventually he's going to have to make a tough choice whether to stay with his teammate or allow that outside line to be able to start to get around these guys. We've got to get information from your spotter. How many cars are in your lane? Look at the 45 going to 3 wide here, trying to get around the outside of Busher in the 17. Can't do it.
22 trying to pull the 2 through on the bottom. Half exit, 1 off, the 2 is stuck on the bottom. 22 on you, then 2 off of him. 1 off.
We were hearing Josh Williams there, the spotter. And spotters are so busy at tracks like this, telling their drivers as much of the information they can that's happening behind them.
And watch Joey. He's also doing things to tell his teammate where he can run. He drifted up in the middle of 3 and 4th, and I think he's trying to tell Blaney, look, if you want to get up here in front of this 5, slow down that outside line, we can do it. We'll be leaving our other teammate. But you also watch the car behind you and see what they're doing, because with their body language, we're 3 wide for 3rd place, guys. The 48 on the inside now, Bowman.
Justin Haley in that 31 car. He's such a good driver on drafting type racetracks. Had a great run last week, almost won the race in Chicago. Here we see him again up front.
Haley was a part of the Xfinity Series race yesterday, was battling for the win there.
This is awesome. The 2 and the 5 are just door to door slowing each other down, allowing all these guys to go by on the inside. Look at Reddick, though, coming around the top.
Bubba Wallace in the 23 on the bottom.
Reddick's trying to get up there to help that 5 car.
Daniel Suarez also in the 99 in this mix.
3 wide here, Rick, is tight. I mean, you got to give these guys a lot of credit. That's easier to do at Daytona, Talladega. It's tough to do here.
Reddick running that high line here in Atlanta. Before it was reconfigured, we would say that's a normal line for him. But now with the reconfiguration, he's running higher than most others have even ventured to go to.
Making it work, too, getting a couple passes made.
Blaney still able to hang on to that lead that he's had. Now a big run behind him. Teammates, we'll see if they stay in line.
You see that car on the bottom the back of this pack, that 23 car, Bubba Wallace. Remember, he didn't even make a lap in qualifying. His car drove so bad, he brought it down pit road. Had a problem. He's driven himself up into the top 10.
Larson gets around the 2 for third. Now back to the inside is Cindric. They'll side draft down the front straightaway, letting the front 2 get away.
Chris Buescher coming into the picture as well now in the 17. Austin Cindric trying to clear that 5, but the 5 side drafting, pulling him back.
Man, this is awesome.
Now moved by Bowman. He looked to the inside, and right away, Cindric decided to go down and block that move. To the bottom of the racetrack go the Penske drivers. Blaney, Logano, and Cindric.
Now the 4's jumping to the top line in front of the 5. Running the middle in the turn 3 and 4 here. 2x2 all the way back through the field.
Bowman sees a spot, looks like he was going to try to move up into that high line, then thought better of it as Buescher now is closing the gap between the 5 and himself.
Yeah, when the Fords jumped up to that top line, he panicked. He's like, all right, I'm getting ready to get left down here by myself. The 99 leaves him.
You heard a driver complaining about being really loose. We're hearing that a lot from drivers. See Bowman saying, okay, enough with this bottom. I'm going to jump up into this top lane. But a lot of drivers having trouble keeping the back of their cars underneath them.
Here's Kyle Busch. He's got Justin Haley just in front of him in the 31. We'll see if Busch is able to give that 31 a little bit of a shove and make this low line work. Marty?
What great visuals on board with Kyle Busch. The Cheddar's on board. And so, Steve, I want to talk to you about this whole rain situation. Rain is building behind us and is certainly coming towards the Atlanta Motor Speedway. But I have not heard every crew chief tell their driver that it is coming. So how do you message that with your driver? You don't want to build any more urgency than they have inside the car right now, but you also want to let them know, hey, this might be a race to the end of stage 2.
Well, the question is, what was your plan heading into it? You know, if your plan was be aggressive and lead every lap, I don't need to tell you to try harder. You're already trying hard. I think we maybe only heard it on the 8 because maybe they were going to be a little more conservative. Maybe just be patient and see if a wreck happens. So now it's an opposite plan. Now I need you to go. And, you know, Marty mentions the end of stage 2. Remember, it'll actually be shorter than that, right? Lap 130 would be the end of this race because that would be halfway, which is short of the end of stage 2. So we could actually see an official race before the end of this stage.
I'm not going to rule out seeing 260 laps here either, though. And that's what the fans want to see. And if it's 260 laps like this, money's well spent getting a ticket to this race, because this has been really amazing what we've seen already out of these cars trying to fit their car in an opening that is barely wide enough to let them go in, and the caution has come out as the 24 slides sideways.
Remember, this is one of those cars that had a penalty the last time he was down pit road, got cycled to the back, trying to work his way back up through traffic. You talked about mistakes, Rick.
One down, the right rear's down.
Oh, he's trying to keep it moving with the flat right rear tire. You know, mistakes get compounded. He had some track position.
There, right?
He was running 5th at the end of that stage, right? And he had to go back into traffic.
Carcass just fell off of the 24. We'll see. Looks like he'll be able to get back around.
And he spun from 24, so he had improved a little bit from the start of this stage. Now this will be very interesting because everyone needs fuel to kind of make it to that official race distance. And with 80 laps to go, I assume pit road's going to be busy. Let's take a look there, drivers.
Well, he's already around, but we heard on the radio, we heard him say, I think I just got hooked right there. See what happens right here. LaJoy underneath him.
Still clear.
Man, Corey just comes across the racetrack right into his left rear.
Keep coming here. Trying to get a go.
Spins him out. I don't know how you can see that any other way.
I agree. I mean, it looks awkward because of the kinks on the straightaway, but if I reference every other car, the 24 looks like he's tracking like everyone else. It's the 7 that looks like he's changing lanes.
Sideways for William Byron. As you mentioned, he was running 24th.
good thing is he got it rolling. You know, these cars at Daytona, Talladega, and here, if you flat spot enough tires and flat them, the car will get stuck on the racetrack. You can't move it. You'll lose a ton of laps. Marty.
Yeah, that was spotter Brandon Lines who said we just got hooked, correct, and no one responded on the radio. There you see the carcass from the right rear of William Byron. That penalty, by the way, the safety violation, it was a personnel on the cold side of pit road that leaned over and put two hands on the hot side of pit road. That was the safety violation on the last stop, and it looks like they have successfully limped it back here to pit road without much damage, Steve, and that's what you wanted out of your driver, to keep that right rear fender intact.
Yeah, no, the exterior of the body looks good. You wonder what the underneath looks like. At this point, you might as well change left side tires because they've already lost a lap, which would be okay. Really, they will be the only car one lap down, so they should be able to get that back. So let's hear what the 7 of Corey LaJoie had to say.
I was trying to cover the top there. Thought I was clear. How good, man? How's the score here? Can't turn the wheel, man.
So he just admitted, you know, hey, man, made a mistake. Sometimes near the back half of the field, you can get aero tight, and through a dog leg, a flat turn like this, the car just gets really tight. You turn the wheel and really nothing happens. You go up in the car beside you, but yeah, everybody's fighting for the top two, you know, so just trying to be aggressive. Got the best of them.
Yeah, there are times that the worst your car drives is through the trowel.
Yeah.
While, you know, the car is unloaded, it doesn't have the banking, you're turning, everybody coming down pit road. Not everybody, but most cars.
Yeah, a lot of people making that little move over to the left so they can be on pit road, which is really at the entrance to turn 3. So a very long pit road here at Atlanta.
And now this will be, once again, very, very congested, and probably multiple plans. Some gas only, some 4 tires, some 2 tires. So very important to communicate in and out. We saw the 19 get spun around the last time, Kim. Hopefully a little bit cleaner entry and exit for these drivers.
Yeah, and all the crew chiefs reminding their drivers to be very smooth. They cannot afford to lose positions, especially with the weather possibly coming. The 48th, though, of Alex Bowman, you see him at the top there. He said, I am way too free entry to center. It is going to be fuel only. They'll take a tear off there, Marty.
Early days of that run, but Joey Logano liked what Paul Wolfe did last time. And look how far back in the box Logano is for that fuel only stop, just to make sure he has a clean exit, Dave.
Blaney comes in, fuel only as well. The Goodyear tires stay on the wall. He leaves.
Chaos is the best word for what is pit road right now. We see Logano gaining a spot, Blaney losing one. It was William Byron who slides down the front stretch here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, bringing out the caution for the 3rd time. Moving this summer? Join the 6 million families who discovered a smarter, more flexible way to move with Pods. Save up to 30% now at pods.com today. 76 laps still to go in stage 2. You're watching NASCAR Cup Series racing from Atlanta, the Quaker State 400. The 45 coming back on pit road.
Yeah, another driver and team with just an error. They were under penalty for over pit wall too soon. The 9 also coming back down the pit road. I didn't expect that one. It looked like they had tightened the right rear maybe.
All right, Steve, let's talk a little bit about the issues on pit road.
Well, when we talk about keeping track position, it's all about being efficient on pit road, and it really starts with Martin Truex Jr. He finished 3rd in the stage. After service leaves the pit box, McDowell gets into him, gets spun around, loses all his track position. Then the 20 of Christopher Bell comes in, and you're going to see right here, the tire kind of gets away from the 20, and then the 24 comes in. Once again, the tire rolls out of the frame. Penalty on the 24. The 11 of Denny Hamlin also with an issue on pit road. This one's interesting. See that tire gets rolled right in front of that pit crew member for the 7. That's equipment interference. And then close call right here between Denny and the 48. And then the 45 over pit wall too soon. You see crew members standing there. And this is actually, I mean, should be a simple gas and go, and you see it's just chaos on pit road.
We see the last pit laps and tires on the left side of the screen as back underway. 75 laps to go in stage 2. Martin Truex Jr. on the inside, and at 23, Bubba Wallace on the outside, leading the pack here at Atlanta. Bubba Wallace, one of the many drivers who really cut their teeth racing legends and bandoleros here on the quarter mile on the front stretch of Atlanta Motor Speedway, and now leading here at Atlanta on the 1.5 miles.
Too wide for about 10 rows. Then Kyle Busch had them 3 wide for a while. They've gotten back to organized 2 wide chaos throughout the field.
Organized chaos. I like that.
There we go. Another car to the top. They're seeing opportunities up there when they get runs back in the back, Rick, and they're in that middle groove. They're like, hey, I'm going to take this run to the top. What do I have to lose?
Yeah, a few different names up here in front, including the 41 of Ryan Preece. He's on the outside right now of the 22 of Logano. Those two fighting for 3rd. Martin Truex Jr. out front. Bubba Wallace behind him, and again the fight for 3rd. Side by side, Logano and Preece.
And Truex and Wallace, they've really not led this race. They're going to have to learn how to do it. They're going to have to learn how to block, where the runs come from.
Eric Jones having a run on the outside in that 43. Now Ross Chastain to his inside.
See Alex Bowman, that 48 car. His car drives very good.
Car's in the wall back there. Yep.
Ty Gibbs.
Looked like the 43 squeeze Ty into the wall. Have to see if he's damaged. We're going to take a look here. Yeah, Jones thinks he's clear. I think he actually got in the back of Chastain a little bit. So a lot happening right there. But Gibbs won't be happy. He's going to put that on Jones and say, man, you get that. Put me in a bad spot. They're right there nose and tail here. I got row 10.
And once again, a fight for the lead. Alex Bowman trying to throw his name into the hat as well. Bowman trying to get that inside line going. He's got a little help from Buescher behind him.
See if this 48 can slide up in front of the 22. He does. Bubba says, I'm going to the inside then. Take this run here and see what I can do with it. And he knows he's got a teammate up there in that 19 to help him get a little bit of a draft. Now he's going to try to slide up. Spotter gives it to him. Go ahead and take it away.
Here the Toyotas working together again, the 19 and 23.
Buescher made up a lot of ground on that bottom. Now he's got Haley behind him at 31.
Let's take a look at the Toyota driver update. Martin Truex Jr. out in front. He ended his winless streak earlier this year and has already been to victory lane twice. Currently running in the top spot here at Atlanta, with Buscher now challenging him to the inside. Haley back into the picture in that 31.
Oh, we got a spin in the back. I believe it's 5. Larson's around in front of the field.
Still sliding, but not a lot of contact. Looks like the 14 of Briscoe avoiding. He got turned around as well.
62, Austin Hill. Both those cars were kind of stuck together, headed down pit road, Rick. Larson's going to come on to pit road. Larson had somebody right in his back bumper through turns 3 and 4, and I think Larson was losing grip and coming out of the gas and got turned around off the nose of another car.
Sparks coming out of the left side for Austin Hill. So successful in Xfinity Series on these types of tracks. Take another look at what happened.
There's the 5 and the 43, Eric Jones. So the 5 is loose now. He just gets loose, and it's before Eric ever touched him, he got sideways. It's slick out there. You know, there's moments where you have a lot of grip and you build confidence. And then you find yourself in a situation like that. Even some of the best drivers in the world can't escape from. This track is something else.
He was running 14th. Great job. Almost everyone avoiding him. Sideways, as you mentioned, in front of the pack.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that the 43 wasn't into the back of the 5.
Yeah.
It looked like to me there was some contact there before Larson got loose.
Yeah, we'll have to see a closer look at it. I thought Larson got a little bit sideways before the contact was made.
Here it is right here. I don't know. It's so hard to tell from that. But we keep hearing the drivers talk about being loose, and wouldn't surprise me that he was a little bit loose before the contact.
Yeah, I thought the first look at it give us a really good shot of where the bumpers were and whether there was contact, but now we've got damage to the 5 car. Right front blew and has come apart and destroyed the hood. So here we go. So let's look at the 43 and the 5 back here on the right side of the screen.
The 5's out of the gas right there.
Yep. Now he's loose. I don't think they're contact yet till right there.
Yeah.
It just, you know.
You can see the gap from the 2 car. It got bigger. And so that's clearly the 5 out of the gas, 2 driving away from him.
Yep.
He was out of the gas because he was loose.
Eric tried to give him a chance to save it, but Eric's going to get run over. Eric's going to get run over too if he's, you know, out of the gas too much. So you can't look in the mirror and be watching there, you know, watching out front in the mirror at the same time. And this damage to the 5 is pretty severe.
A little confused about this damage, Steve. They were on pit road.
So we saw them pull directly into his pit box, and I think they put a new right rear tire on it because it was already flat. But I think the right front still had air in it, but was probably flat spotted very severely. And then rolling around, it finally exploded, and you see just a huge amount of damage, which is, you know, the car was relatively clean until then. So you're going to take a look at it right here. I mean, this is going to show you the force of when the, oh my goodness.
Wow. Little piece of debris up on the racetrack there too that they'll have to clear off.
Look at that. I got somewhat of a fender on there. I don't know what the air is going to do to that at full speed, but it don't look too bad.
No.
Steve, are they in jeopardy on the DVP, the clock? I mean, it's 8 minutes now for this race.
Yeah, I think you only have to be careful. They extended it a minute just because pit road is so long with the entry at the end of the backstretch. The teams get to see the DVP, damaged vehicle policy. It's basically a minimum amount of time, or basically a maximum amount of time you have to use. They get a feed from NASCAR on their laptop, so they'll count it down. You just got to be careful because it does take so much time. You see right here, the 19 of Truex, the 23 of Bubba Wallace. They entered pit road at the end of the backstretch. They're still rolling around the flat. So you burn a lot of time. This was the 2nd and 4th place car.
Kim.
And you see Martin Truex Jr. right there at the top. He said, in traffic, I'm aero tight, otherwise clean air. The car is very good. You see fuel only. Bubba Wallace there on the bottom left, changing 4 tires, grabbing Sunoco fuel. He said, I need to be 1 number freer just for momentum's sake, Dave. He said, I'm scrubbing off too much speed.
Chase Elliott is back on pit road. He pitted at the end of the pit cycle last time under caution. A miscommunication was voiced to him from crew chief Alan Gustafson as to why they didn't pit with the entire group. So they took right sides last time. This time they'll take 4 Goodyear tires, fill it up with Sunoco fuel because he was back there anyway. Now's a good time to get fresh ones and full of gas.
And so the 5 of Larson goes around right off the nose of the 43. Barry Jones looking forward now from the 54. That was Ty Gibbs's view. Take your taste buds somewhere cool with the new Sonic 299 Strawberry Shortcake Snowball Slush Float, topped with ice cream and crunchy sugar crystals. For a limited time only at Sonic. Sonic. Well, fans, download the official app of NASCAR. It allows you to follow race action with free live scoring. There's in-car cameras and radio broadcasts. You can also upgrade to premium for full access to driver audio channels and an ad-free experience. Search NASCAR in your app store. Start a free trial today.
It'll also allow you to adjust your fantasy team, and right now I'm in a bit of a quandary.
Yes.
Because I didn't expect some of these guys to have some issues, so need to all get going back normal again.
Get that garage driver out if you need to. Riding along with Hunt Brothers Pizza and Kevin Harvick. Those two have been paired up really for so long. Such a great combination between Harvick and Hunt Brothers Pizza. Marty.
So, Rick, Steve and I had the conversation a moment ago. When do you tell your driver about the rain? Chris Gabehart chose this caution to tell Denny Hamlin. Listen.
I do not think we're going to the end of the race without getting wet, FYI. I think we're going to need to drive as far forward as we can here because the stage caution pit stop is going to set the running order for a short sprint. That's my prediction.
There you have it.
Yeah, what do you do with that information?
Drive to the front. He told you to drive to the front, Rick. Go to the front.
Aren't they trying to do that with every lap?
I thought it was clear direction by Chris to just drive to the front. I like that.
We'll see how they do. It'll be 62 laps to go in stage 2. Back up through the gears they go. Busher and Haley leading the field.
Busher, Haley, Allmendinger. And the 3 new names at the front.
Allmendinger in the 16. We've got Bowman pushing on that inside line.
Eric Jones jumping to the outside back there, making it 3 wide in that 43. Not working out for him as he fades back. Expect the runs to be bigger a lot more moves, the blocks to be bigger.
That sounds like more caution.
Yep. If we're trying to race to halfway, an official race before the rain, and accomplish a win for one of these drivers, I don't know if we'll get there before we have more yellows.
30 laps away from the halfway point, and again, it's halfway or the end of stage 2. Whichever comes first would be official if they aren't able to get it restarted. But right now, they're fighting to get up front, get as close to the front, battle for the lead. As Buescher now holds on to it, Allmendinger has surged ahead, and so Buescher and Allmendinger pulled out to about a 2-car length lead over third.
Look at Haley in that 31 car. He almost cleared the 22 of Logano. That would have been huge for him if he could have gotten in front of him. Now he's on that inside line, hoping for some help coming from Bowman.
Another kind of new name we haven't talked about today. 5th car in line, black nose, white top, the 41 of Ryan Preece. We talk a lot about Kevin Harvick, but SHR as a whole looking for a turnaround. Ford's so fast here. This would be a great week for Preece.
Yeah, Allmendinger's in there in second.
A lot of excitement around Preece coming into the Cup Series, into this particular ride. No top 5s, no top 10s this year, but having a great run tonight. The 48 to the inside of Blaney for 4th.
Bowman looked so fast as he came through the turn. But now, Preece is going to move back by him on the outside.
Well, early in these runs, that's going to be open for you. New tires, a lot of grip. You'll be able to rip that bottom, make a lot of time. The question is, can you clear anybody to actually make a pass, or do you actually lose positions trying that?
And they're squeezing each other into that outside wall, trying to slow down the side draft. Getting more aggressive with that. Look at Corey LaJoie here, almost in the middle of a 3 wide. Reddick to the high side, can't make it work. The 7th car coming to the front.
Corey LaJoie, we've seen some greatness out of Corey as of late.
You got this.
He's got 2 top 5 finishes here, almost a win in this race last year. He comes to this racetrack thinking he can win this race. 31 jumps in front of him. Now back to the bottom to help the 48. Haley pushing that 48 down into turn 3.
Reddick's not helping out LaJoie as he goes to the high side, making it 3 wide. We'll see which drivers are on the move, brought to you by Ashley Furniture. Bowman, 27 spots. Start of the race. LaJoie 18, just talking about him.
There's a possibility the end of the stage could be the end of it with weather.
The 45 almost turned Haley into the outside wall down the back straightaway. That was really close. Haley's a little bit to the inside, and he leaves the spot open. Here's the 45, the 7, everybody going by to 31 now. Got to protect that top, especially with Reddick. Everybody that's in front of Reddick, their spotters need to be making them aware he is going to jump to that outside line every chance he gets.
Austin Hill in the 62 went to the garage, so his day is done.
And if you're a William Byron fan, he got the free pass. Remember, he was involved in an incident earlier. He's up to 27th and on the lead lap.
Good battle right here, riding along. Kevin Harvick with the Hunt Brothers Pizza Cam. Racing with Suarez. You can hear him playing with the throttle a little bit. He can't run wide open. He's having to lift just a little bit.
.42 of Noah Gragson. And his teammate, the 43 of Eric Jones, putting C. Bell in the middle of the sandwich.
Whoa, 20 gets loose. Somebody in the fence.
43 of Jones tags the fence.
Jones has been everywhere.
And Ty Gibbs in the back of Jones. Remember, they had a little bit of altercation earlier. That wasn't payback or anything. Just happened to be there in the same area. Brad Keselowski trying to get underneath Haley. Talked to Brad this morning. He was super excited about this race. He felt like his car was going to drive great. Thought he had a good chance.
Tucked back in line behind Haley.
Yeah, it's pretty much single file out front. Battles are all back here in the middle of the field. Here's your leader, the 17, Buescher. There you go. All the top 15 cars there in single file. The handling of these cars is really good on these newer tires, but they'll start fanning out, looking for air, looking for grip. That's when you're going to see opportunities to make passes.
Ty Gibbs had Ross Chastain go by him on the inside.
Ross, look at him.
Oh,
man.
Squeezed right in front of him.
And that makes, if you're Gibbs, that makes you so angry. You know that, man, you just want to drive through that one car for doing that.
Plus, it cost him another spot with the 20. I mean, Ty's been run into multiple times today. Look at the 20. Something happened with the 3 car of Austin Dillon.
Making these moves at 180 miles an hour.
This view doesn't make it seem any calmer.
No.
It's not helping, is it?
It's not.
These onboards are great. We can hear the throttle. We can hear what the drivers are doing. Look at here. Oh, man, tied off the corner.
Man.
They just
nice
bounce
and smart
off
with
each
him.
other.
He's going to hack every chance he gets inside full. You don't know any better.
That cost 54 some momentum. Now he's got somebody underneath him. He's trying to fight off to keep that position.
Don't let him put you in a bad spot where he chops across your nose. We both get collected in it.
I got to tell you, I give Ty Gibbs a great deal of credit. He stayed calm. He's been running to the wall. He's been blocked. All kinds of things have happened to him, and he stayed calm through this whole thing. Look at this Christopher Bell move. Something happened to that 3 car. He got really slow.
And right to the back bumper once again. See the replay there from Ty Gibbs.
Now we're starting to battle up here at the front of the pack. Hanlon's starting to go away.
Look at Brad.
48's in the middle.
Brad just forced his way into there.
Keselowski makes the pass, and he tries to move a little closer to the front. It's Chris Buescher, his teammate, that's leading here in Atlanta. Tonight's aerial coverage brought to you by Pods. Moving this summer, save up to 30% at pods.com today. And you've seen it all. It is getting even more intense. We didn't think that it could get more intense than what we saw in the first stage, but stage 2, they've ramped it up to another level.
Well, in 11 laps, this race will be official. Weather closing in, I believe, halfway is well within reach, but the drivers don't know when the end might come after that, and they are racing like this is the finish.
It's pretty calm in the top 4, but from there back is complete chaos. There's drivers running into each other, running into the wall. It is physical.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like this in NASCAR in a long, long time.
Allmendinger and Buscher, they have no idea. They're like, that was pretty calm.
Kyle Larson had an issue. He went to the garage. He's out of the race.
You see the air moving? The hood flaps on the 2. The whole hood tries to move up. You can just see how much turbulence there is.
Still up front, Buscher. He's led 28 laps now. Almirola has led the most at 46. Allmendinger, Logano, Blaney, and Cindric all in the top 5.
Just think about the potential wins, right? Buscher, Allmendinger, it moves around quickly, right? But there's Brad Keselowski, I see him in the mix. Well, we see Haley in the mix, Corey LaJoie in the mix.
And you can run anywhere. Drivers were worried when they came here, could they get on the fence? We got drivers running on the bottom, the middle, all the way against the wall.
What'd you tell us during the commercials, Dale? This would be hard pressed not to be the ticket you would buy.
Yeah, I always said Bristol Night was the best ticket in the series. I changed my mind. Anybody that asks me when they're going to their first race, I'm sending them here.
See Joey Logano on the inside of Allmendinger, getting some help from the 12 car. Blaney, Cindric, they're all teammates, the 22, the 12, and the 2.
Are they going to hang the 16 out now? So will Allmendinger have anybody to work with?
Ooh, Penske train though right there. Got all 3 of them organized now.
Bowman looking to the inside.
Bowman says, man, I want to be a part of this.
He keeps clawing his way back into this top 5. We've seen him get, we got a big crash.
LaJoie goes around. In front of the pack, how many will get collected? The 19's able to avoid. Chastain looking like he may have had a piece of it.
Yeah, he's got some right front damage.
This has been where the chaos has been for the last 15 laps. I'm surprised we haven't seen this wreck before. Big damage on the 54.
Ty Gibbs will be limping back to pit road if he can.
The major problem. Looks like the left front's locked up, though.
Left front completely gone as far as the tread. Chastain already on pit road. He also is missing a tire, the right front for him.
Right front really hard. That's the main thing. Only thing that hit.
3 wide, the 43. Eric Jones into the left rear of the 7. He chased it up the track into the door. Reddick, 21, or the 1 car, I'm sorry, jumps the left side of the 54. That's pretty hard contact.
Eric Jones had a big run, and he just, well, it looks like the 7 actually came down. It looks like, I thought the 43 was going up into the 7, but it looked like the 7 actually came down on the 43. Oh, look at that.
Big contact with the 1 of Ross Chastain.
Yeah, watch this one come through, jump the left front right there. Truex on the binders, slowing it down, locking the left front up there. Riding on board here, the 54 of Ty Gibbs. Yeah, the 7 did. I mean, the 43 held his line. He wasn't all the way against the apron, but the 7 does come down slightly. Kind of a racing deal. You know, the 43 is not perfectly low, but just kind of came together there. And it has been wild, like you guys said, right there around that 1 car. That 1, that 43, 54, 19, bouncing off each other for the last 10 laps.
You know, I tell you, we show these replays, and this was this guy's fault, that guy's fault. One thing we know for sure tonight is that it's hard to keep the car in one line. It's hard to keep the car going perfectly straight. They drive so bad, Marty, that it's just hard to point the finger and say it was one guy's fault.
And Jeff, I wish I could convey the intensity you feel on pit road. It's very palpable. Corey LaJoie said, for what it's worth on the radio, I know you guys said he may have come down on the 43. He said the 43 got in my left rear. So in his opinion, that was all on the 43. Car is not tracking straight for Corey LaJoie. The left front, he said, is way towed out.
Yeah, the left front's towed in actually from the contact.
Did 1 jump off of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You see it's pointed to the center of the car, Dale, as you mentioned. So with long enough yellow, you could repair that. Now we see a bunch of cars coming to pit road. Keep it full of fuel here with 36 laps to go in stage 2, 5 laps short of halfway.
There were 7 cars involved in this incident. 7, 43, 45, 54, 19, 1, and 38.
And I like the leaders staying out here because with weather closing in, we've seen crazier things. Lightning can end it sooner than the rain gets here. But if you're Denny Hamlin and these cars on back, you want to keep fuel in your car in case the weather takes a little bit longer. You could kind of jump over those cars that stayed on the racetrack.
Kim.
And for Christopher Bell, he just told his team, if I had better handling, I could just fire right through these guys. You see Christopher Bell on the right lower of the screen. 4 tires, Sunoco fuel, Marty.
Interesting move here. Chris Gabehart bringing Denny Hamlin to pit road. 4 fresh Goodyear tires and fuel as well. But you saw those leaders stay out, Dave. You saw Christopher Bell have to work his way out of his pit stall as well.
A.J. Allmendinger comes for 4 tires and fuel. He said, sorry, guys, I figured that was better than getting wrecked, that he couldn't keep the guys behind him. So 16 is okay. Now he's full of fuel and tires.
Quite a few on pit road. Again, topping off, some changing tires. The issue between the 7 and the 43, they'll have to figure it out because they both have different opinions as to how it happened. With the radar as the backdrop, let's take a look at the Ruoff Mortgage keys to victory lane.
Well, I'm going to say be weather aware and be a good meteorologist because you're going to have to guess when this weather's going to get here.
A lot of cars on the lead lap. People come down pit road. It's easy to have a problem, have damage, have contact. We've seen it before. Have a clean pit road.
Guys, I hate to be Captain Obvious here, but I'm gonna. You just got to get to the front. You get to the front, you win the race.
That's why he's one of the best analysts in the business. Give.
Well, while we're talking weather, Christopher Bell was one of the drivers that stopped during that caution. Here's the conversation between he and crew chief Adam Stevens about what's coming.
There is weather coming, and we're going to get hit, right? Yes. It's just a matter of how long it takes to get here and how many laps we run between now and then. The guys that didn't pit are going to have to pit at the stage.
And then Adams went on to say that they do think that they made the right call, that the weather's not going to come until after the stage ends. So crew chief Adam Stevens confirming they feel like they made the right decision with that call.
Well, time will tell. 33 laps to go in the stage. The leaders, Buescher, Logano, Blaney, Cindric, they were all last on pit road at lap 82. We think they could go around 70 laps. So, you know, they're going to go all the way to the end of this stage.
We've seen in the past, and I'll point specifically to Daytona, rain can just pop up in any part of a racetrack. And this is a situation where NASCAR will make sure safety is the biggest concern, that they wouldn't get these guys going if the possibility of rain on the racetrack when they're at speed. So the green flag back in the air as Buescher trying to stay out in front. Logano on the bottom of the racetrack has help from the 12. So the Fords working together on the first two rows.
Blaney and Logano, they have worked together well the last several years on drafting type racetracks. They've really done a good job, but Buescher pulling ahead of both of them.
Had a big push from Austin Cindric in the 2. Cindric now side by side with Logano for second. And Logano might fall back to third here.
Yeah, his teammate went with his other teammate. Man, you got teammates in both lines. So you came back, about a bad choice.
I just got done saying they worked together well together, and he hung him out.
It's a win-win, though. He went with his other teammate. So he's pushing the 2 car now. Logano's looking for help on the inside, getting it from Bowman in the 48.
Buescher choosing his lines out in front. He's got help from the 2 of Cindric. Now the 2 trying to pull away. Side by side behind him. Blaney in that 3rd spot.
Buescher got a big run right there. Now he's going to be in trouble, I think. No, the Penske cars got a little bit slower than I thought they were going to. Here comes Cindric. Big block by Buescher.
Cindric to the top. He's going to get there. He would prefer that top line. He's going to get help from his teammate. They're going to have the momentum off of 4. I believe they clear this 17.
Blaney has chose the 2 to get behind, and he'll push the 2 out in front of Buescher. Buescher falls all the way back to 3rd.
Buescher got so far out in front of him, he allowed them to get a big run. Now Cindric has done the same thing.
He's got to be careful here. Here comes the 12 down the back straightaway. No big run yet. The 6 of Keselowski to the inside.
Another Ford fighting up front. Now 2 RFK cars nose to tail on the inside. Brad Keselowski, owner driver, in front of Chris Buescher.
Somewhere Doug Yates, Edsel Ford, everybody in the blue oval is smiling. They have the front 3 rows full.
How about that corner by Keselowski? He pulled alongside the 2.
The back, we'll clear him down here.
He has that
help now.
If he has that kind of corner down here, he will clear him. Does not get the momentum that he got at 1 and 2. But now he has his teammate behind him. So Penske in the outside row. Roush Fenway, Keselowski racing on the inside.
Inches apart for the lead. Brad Keselowski on the inside. The 2 of Cindric on the outside. Remember, Brad Keselowski vacated that 2 car for Penske to go over and be a part of the ownership group with Roush Fenway. And now the 2 fighting for the lead here at Atlanta. 27 laps remaining, now 26 to go in the 2nd stage.
And now at lap 135, if weather's here, this race is official. We have crested past halfway.
Two by 2, door to door.
Brad Keselowski's so smart, being able to hold that 2 car beside him. This is the best we've seen this inside line look the entire race.
He doesn't have help this time. He does not have help.
TJ Majors, the spotter for Brad Keselowski on the inside.
Good door.
78 car having a little bit of trouble here, getting up out of the groove.
2 and 3 wide. Oh. Contact behind them.
I don't know how that, I don't know how that was a big wreck. The 41 and the 34. Great job. They're still racing, still 3 wide back there.
Denny Hamlin coming into the picture as well in the 11. The fight for the lead stays between the 2 and the 6. Look back at this from Denny's perspective. How close it was. 41, loose right in front of him.
Something like that is happening literally every lap around this racetrack.
Truex in that 19 car just got by 3 of them on the outside. Chase Elliott had trouble. Truex just jumped on the outside and went by him.
Still battling neck and neck. Truex again to the top.
Truex trying to use that high line to get by this group. Stalls out just a bit there. 5th car back on the high line.
Now the front's breaking up just a little bit on that inside line. 17 finally gets back to the bottom, and look at these Toyotas at the top.
Truex has found something. He has gotten up to the wall, and he has just passed about 6 cars in the last 2 laps. Just ripping the fence.
There he goes again to the outside of the 22.
This just started. He just learned this, and it has been so effective.
Can he jump down in front of that 22? He does. That's going to give him a big push here. Up to the back of the 12 of Blaney. As you see the 2 and the 6. Blaney's going to block that run at the top now.
Cindric has cleared the 6 of Keselowski.
Big run down the back straightaway.
Josh Williams, the spotter for Ryan Blaney, told him that 19 is ripping the fence. You cannot let him do it. Blaney jumped up there and took that line away from him.
And now the Fords coming back to these front 2.
These guys are quickly catching the lap car of Corey LaJoie. The intensity is going to pick up here in a few moments when they have to find a way around that slower car.
Under 20 laps to go in stage 2.
The handling's starting to fade away on these cars, seeing them getting a little bit of space between them. Truex again with a run to the middle of the racetrack around the outside of the 48. Blaney, Buescher side by side for 3rd. No run for Keselowski in 2nd.
It's hard to believe this, but Truex has never won a race on a drafting style racetrack. Never Daytona, never Talladega, never here under this rules package.
Think about Cindric's year. After winning the Daytona 500 coming in as a rookie. Only 3 top 10s this year, no top 5s. It's been a dismal year now to the outside. Here comes the 6 of Keselowski.
Once again, side by side for the lead.
And you split teammates. Now you have an RFK car behind the 2 and a Penske car behind the 6.
And we saw Blaney give that 6 a shove. It didn't get him too much momentum. It didn't push him in front of the 2. But now a side draft by the 6 of Keselowski pulls the 2 back.
Oh, that was close with 48 to 17. See, Blaney's having to block Truex. He's having to run that high line.
Big push from Blaney here. Clears the 6 of Keselowski.
A lot of momentum out of the 12 of Blaney. He's going to look to the inside. He'll go for the lead.
It's not a big enough run to clear the 6, though. The 6 is going to get help from the 19 of Truex down the back straightaway.
Now we'll see if Cindric will repay the favor. And Bowman gets to his inside. So now Bowman will put Cindric back another position.
That 19 car is fast, guys. He is, look at, he has driven that thing all the way to 2nd.
Blaney back to the inside. He's going to move down, try to side draft. Can't do it. Blaney's clear.
Good run by Buescher, and now that high line looked to have momentum.
Crazy moves right there, man. I thought they were wrecking. Blaney jumping in front of that 19. That was wild.
The aggression knob has gotten flipped.
Yep.
Another big run by Martin Truex Jr.
He's going to push that 12. What does the 12 do? He's jumping to the outside. Oh, man, can he make it work? He's there. He's there, Rick. He's going to have a shot down this back straightaway. A little bit of gap between them to the 19, though. What does the 19 do? He's going to have a big run down this back straightaway.
That high line has been working for the 19. Does he give him a big shove? No. He gets out of the gas before he gets to the 12, and he starts to fall back.
Buscher's going to help his teammate, though. A couple cars here with some trouble in the back of the field, the 8.
And Noah Gregson in the 42, and we saw smoke coming out. Kyle Busch was just behind him. Keselowski still out front. Under 14 laps to go in stage 2.
Oh my gosh. Back there in the back, the 23 and the 20 banging off each other.
Oh, look at this lead Brad's got. He's way out front. There's going to be a big run coming. Brad on an 80 race winless streak.
Blaney running second. Now Buscher second, but it's Keselowski out in front here in Atlanta. Keselowski here at Atlanta. He's won twice before, looking to make it 3. Under 8 laps to go in stage 2, but you see the radar in the lower right corner of your screen. Rain on its way.
Rick, this win would be more special for Brad. So much success in his career, but has yet to win as an owner. Remember, RFK, Roush, Fenway, Keselowski, co-owner of this team, and the 17 to the inside of him.
Buscher was trying to help earlier. It seemed like he was trying to block, but now he's on the inside by himself. Will Brad come down and work with him?
Brad's throwing a massive block right there on the 12. Blaney almost got to the right rear quarter panel. 6 to go in the stage. What else do they have left?
It's picking up now. Here comes the 17. A little bit of momentum. A.J. Allmendinger helping out in the 16 on the bottom line.
Can the 17 slide in behind the 6? No, he couldn't.
The situation is tough for the 17 because he wants to side draft Brad, but he knows that's not going to help Brad. That's going to hurt his teammate. Contacts!
11's going to go around. He got tagged by the 48. They both get collected, slide into the infield, and the caution comes out.
Right there if you can, drive straight.
They were 3 wide. The 48 slid up the racetrack, caught the back of the 11, and around he went.
Running in 7th and 8th position. Absolutely, Rick, looked like the 78 up or the 48 up the racetrack. Good save by the 11. This is going to tear up that 48 car as he tries to get around here on a flat right front tire.
With the debris that's being put out, this could end stage 2. Take another look.
48 gets loose right here. Looks like, yep, loose. Up the track he goes. How does he get contact here? Yeah, just 11 down the track, and he just has to lock it up.
I've been watching Alex Bowman. He's had his hands full. I've seen him multiple times have to be all the way out of the gas off of turn 2. People stacking up behind him. You can see right here, he knows he's in trouble. You saw the flames come out of the exhaust pipe. That was him out of the gas. Just couldn't keep it off of Hamlin.
Bubba Wallace, Justin Haley, both clearing him. There's Michael McDowell going through the grass.
Mike McDowell's actually recovering pretty well from that damage earlier.
This is what we talked about, guys, when this race started. We had no idea, and the teams had no idea how much handling was going to matter, and had they made the right adjustments. Remember, there was no practice here, only qualifying, so the teams never ran in these packs.
The back. Your middle, middle, clear high. Hang on to it there, hang on to it. 48 got it, lock it down, Drive straight there.
I love how the spotter in mid-wreck says 48 got us. Go ahead and let them know what happened.
Now, what does NASCAR do here? What do you think, Steve? 4 to go before the end of the stage. You got rain. What do you do?
Well, the interesting thing is, you know, they have to make a decision. They won't open pit road if they don't believe they can restart before the end of the stage. You know, they've said in the past that they will just ride around to the end of the stage, finish the stage. So the question is, how quickly can they get it cleaned up? I mean, it looks like they might be able to. It's 3 to go now. I don't believe they can open pit road on 3 to go and catch up the field, 2 to go, and restart. So I think we're going to see 3 pace laps here, 3 caution flag laps to end the stage.
A wild ride for Denny Hamlin. Got tagged by the 48 of Alex Bowman. Out front, Keselowski scored the race leader here at Atlanta. Track cleanup continues after the most recent caution, including the 11 and the 48. And under 2 laps to go. So they didn't open pit road because we're under 2 laps to go before the end of the stage. But they are going to go to the end of the stage and then open pit road immediately at the end of stage 2. So the track being cleaned currently And the field will come around and get the 1 to go signal. 1 to go in stage 2, not 1 to go before they restart.
I'm going to tell you, I needed the caution to catch my own breath. I mean, this has been some of the most intense 30 or 40 minutes of action. And I want to just tip my hat to the drivers, Dale and Jeff, right? Marcus rebuilt this place. NASCAR brought the right package. But in the end, the drivers have put this unbelievable commitment into this style of racing. And the show that they are putting on is unreal. Brad Keselowski currently leads. He should win stage 2 here. Let's listen into the radio.
Oh, man. I don't know. What's the latest lightning strike? The rain is moving in faster than the lightning now. So I would say the rain, my guess is 10 minutes. So 10 minutes is 20 laps, and we have 14 laps of fuel. Yes, sir. Right at it.
So he's actually considering, so right here on the left, let's take a look, right? You see 82 down to 125. That is the last time these cars were on pit road. So Keselowski is basically out of gas, or as you just heard, very close. Allmendinger, Wallace, Bell, they could stay on the racetrack, but if the 6 stays on the racetrack, Dave, he's going to have to pit very quickly in this next stage.
As soon as the caution came out, Steve, he said to Matt McCall, his crew chief, I do not envy you in this situation. Steve, how about this? Brad came back after a little discussion. We heard a little bit of it there on the radio and said, I think we need to do whatever we need to do to complete the race. So would you see that meaning maybe they're going to pit?
I think you have to pit. I mean, they have 78 laps on the fuel. I mean, if this thing restarts, he's going to pit in 5 or 6 laps. And remember, as long as pit road is here, you're going to lose at least 1. Even with the increased speed, you may lose 2 to the pack. I don't think you could throw away a good run. I know he wants to win a race, but you know, Brad Keselowski is inside the playoff picture. So he needs some points as he's going to win this stage and bucket 10 of them, Dave. But you can't let the emotion of a potential win throw away what you've done all year long in points, in my opinion. I think they're going to have to pit.
And there you see Keselowski getting the stage win right there. But consider this as well, and know this. They changed this race car. They were on pit road a long time at one of the caution flags. They lifted the hood. They worked on the left and right front suspension. They lifted this car up so that it would race well. That's how Brad got to the front.
We see on the left side of the screen here, 79 laps that they've been running. And as far as fuel running out, well, Allmendinger probably looks pretty good here. Only 36 laps. Let's listen into his radio.
Best fuel position of anybody else, but we're gambling on weather. It looks like it's closing in, and I'm leaning towards staying out here. The only other option would be we pit foot right sides on so we can go a little bit further.
So who makes the gamble of staying out, thinking that this one might be shortened by rain? Allmendinger's going to do it.
I love the call for Allmendinger. He's outside the playoff picture, not a long ways, but I think he has enough fuel on board to run further, far enough. He can run another 35 or 40 laps. You see, now they're staring at each other on this long pit road. Brad sees who stayed out. Now, the most important thing is the 6, the 12, the 17. Don't speed. I mean, you see how many other cars are pitting, so he's going to restart kind of mid-pack. He'll have a chance. I think we'll see enough racing. He could try to get back to the front.
And quite a few cars heading toward you, Marty.
Just like his teammate and owner, Brad Keselowski, Chris Buescher is pretty comfortably in the playoffs, so Scott Graves reminded him of that. We can't take any crazy risk here. Been very happy with the car, just a little bit too free when it's in traffic. They're going to take their 4 fresh Goodyear tires here in Sunoco Fuel, Dave.
Blaney's happy with his 12 car. They talked about 4 tires. We'll see if that's where they go. They were talking in code for Brad Keselowski. It looks like 4 tires from Goodyear and Sunoco Fuel for each of the 12 and the 6.
The race off pit road. Again, a lot of cars have stayed out on the racetrack, so we'll see how these blend in. Bubba Wallace first off pit road. Martin Truex Jr. gaining some spots. It has been wild and crazy on the high banks of Atlanta up to this point. We're getting ready for the final stage. Larson out of the race. Let's hear from him before the green flag comes back out. He's standing by with Kim.
And Kyle Larson out of the race. We saw the spin. What happened? And then ultimately, what took you out of contention?
Yeah, on the spin, I haven't seen a replay, but I think I was just late and slow to protect the top, and the 43 must have been just really close to me and got me loose and spun, got the flat, and then I thought we were gonna be lucky enough to just be able to drive right to my pit stall and change. We changed the right rear and didn't get the right front change, and then that exploded on pit road or on the apron, and then had to lose some laps or a lap for the damage, and then just had a little bit of a tire up still, and ultimately just ended up giving out and got in the wall. So hate that I made the mistake there that put us in this position, but was having fun up until the spin and thought I was doing a decent job, finishing second in the stage. So I wish I could have got to the end, but most of the time I feel like it's my fault or other people's fault why I DNF, but tonight was my fault, so a little bit of a bummer.
And this DNF ending a streak of top 10 finishes for the number 5 team.
Yeah, dejected Kyle Larson there. The top 9 right now, 7 of them winless this year.
And we talked about this was an opportunity, and who was it an opportunity for? McDowell, we saw damage earlier. He's recovered well. Allmendinger on the outside. Jones, Suarez looking for a win. Gilliland, Yaley, Custer. I mean,
yeah,
it's a long list.
This will definitely shake up the playoff picture if one of those 7 that have not won this year get to victory lane. Allmendinger on the outside, Michael McDowell on the inside. Back to racing here in the final stage in Atlanta.
Trying to will it into the world here. Dark clouds and rain.
McDowell surging ahead with the help of Byron behind him.
All clear. Get up there and take his line away now. There you go.
You have to assume that it's going to rain any lap, so
come on.
Every lap's going to be treated like it's the last one.
All the way up, pushing that 16 right up against the wall, and then Allmendinger surging ahead. He takes the lead back.
Where do you go if you're Bowman? Do you go to the bottom? Do you go to the top? What line's coming from behind? Here comes the 34, looking to the inside. He's got to run. What a comeback for him with the damage they have on that right front.
Byron side by side now for second.
Byron's
a little help.
Yep.
Suarez is coming up behind Byron.
Big run. Big run. The 24 to the outside.
You just heard block the bottom, so Byron's going up high.
I think Suarez goes with him. Down the back straightaway, that's going to clear the 24. Suarez getting help as well from the 38, but the 34, McDowell right there to keep the 16 battling. Look at the 43 back there jumping to the top of the racetrack.
Big run out of Eric Jones there in the 43. He makes it 3 wide to the outside of Kyle Busch.
We're starting to see that 3 wide on the very top work. Remember, William Byron spun a lap 80. Looked like he was in big trouble, Marty.
So the drivers up front like William Byron, they can go pretty far here, Jeff, about 40 laps or so. But Michael McDowell sitting there in third. Junior, you mentioned the amazing recovery on that bottom lane there in the black and white 34. They can only run, Travis Peterson tells me, about 12 to 15 laps. So they're banking on the rain.
It's all around the racetrack right now. Could happen next lap, could happen in 15 laps from now.
And I think McDowell with that damage is okay in the draft. It seems like every time he's the lead car, which he kind of is right now on the bottom lane, that damage is definitely slowing down overall speed. And here comes the 6. Brad Keselowski wants to get back into the mix.
It's crazy back here. 3 wide for multiple rows. Big runs coming. 47 dives to the inside to go 3 wide around McDowell. On the inside down there, that white car with the white nose, yellow tail. Slim Jim, number 47 to the bottom.
Getting a little help from Keselowski.
Painted rocker pedals.
Suarez underneath Allmendinger.
Remember, Trackhouse Racing going for 3 in a row. Chastain has won. SVG won a week ago on the streets of Chicago. And now Suarez trying to get to victory lane.
I bet J.J. Yaley in that 15 car in 5th place.
They had a good qualifying run in that car. not totally shocked to see him up here.
Todd Gilliland in the 38.
Kyle Busch right up in that third groove, trying to get a run off the top of 2.
Byron out front.
Here comes the 19, a little bit close to that line, that out of bounds line. True, look at the 18, or the 8, I'm sorry. Kyle Busch getting a little bit of help from the 43 out there. Eric Jones, big run down the front straightaway.
McDowell making a move underneath Suarez. McDowell's got damage on that car. I don't think it's as fast as he wants it to be. See that right front fender damage? We're hearing that drops are starting to fall a little bit in turn 4.
This could be the race for the win. If the rain stays long enough, Busch making the move.
Yep, went to the middle, hangs out Gilliland. He clears.
Byron looking for his 4th win already, the winningest driver in 2023. Allmendinger right in his tire tracks, and around goes Kevin Harvick.
He's on the apron though. Green. Right now we see no caution.
He's in turns 1 and 2.
Running 21st when he spun out of the pack. J.J. Yaley trying to help this 99 get clear.
This is going to be a really tough decision for NASCAR. He's off the racing surface, but very close to the bottom lane in 1 and 2 with 2 and 3 wide racing. It looks like they're going to allow the field to go by at speed.
Let's see that race for 3rd. That 99 is clear. He's going to get a run here on the 16. He's by himself, though, so it won't be a really big run. Now, J.J. Yaley and the 34, McDowell side by side. That finally gets sorted out, but McDowell back to the inside. Here comes Kyle Busch to the top. 3 wide for 4th.
Big run by Kyle Busch in the 8 on the outside.
Hadn't heard Kyle's name all night long. Been mired in traffic all night. Now up to the top 5. Brad Keselowski in that 6 on those new tires, though. Clears them both.
Yeah, cleared them easily.
Keselowski up to 5th.
There you go. No threat out back.
That's TJ Major spotted for Brad Keselowski. He sounded like an auctioneer all night long trying to keep that car out front. Now's their battle for 2nd place here.
Suarez to the high side. Suarez trying to take that 2nd spot away. He's going to get a little bit of a help. Little push.
And those cars side by side creates a bigger hole in the air for Brad Keselowski to run into.
Oh.
Big run, but Kyle Busch got on the outside of him.
Yeah, the 16 blocked the run. Kyle's able to jump to the outside of Brad when he had to lift. Side by side still for 2nd.
And that was so much momentum lost before Brad.
Big push from Allmendinger to Suarez. Suarez now closing the gap again to the 24 of Byron.
Byron blocks. Suarez tries the top. Can't get there.
McDowell and Allmendinger.
Get him crossed up and let's go.
Fighting for that 3rd spot. Riding along with Busch. Another run on the high side. Marty.
What a marvelous job from Michael McDowell. Jeff, here is the problem. They just told him a moment ago, you're about 4 to 5 laps from running out of fuel altogether. So how would you manage that, Jeff? If he runs out of fuel in the middle of the pack, it's going to be disaster for everybody.
Yeah, it would be. The only thing you can do is stay in the gas. That's all you can do, and it starts to run out, just try to get out of the way. Maybe you don't get in the outside lane. But as a driver, there's just not much you can do.
And he's running on fumes now. That's the driver of the 34.
Oh, we got a
McDowell.
spin.
They're spinning back in 5th and 6th. Ryan Preece is around. Wallace also caught up in this.
We're all right. We're all right.
Caution has come out.
Now the cars that are short on fuel are in full save mode, hoping that they're going to get some drops on the racetrack.
Steve, it's an impossible situation for those guys that are low on fuel. The rain it's right here, and we've been hearing reports about drops in turn 4. Let's see what happened in this wreck.
Right side of the screen, the 41 lifting for the 12, gets tagged by the 47 of Stenhouse down the racetrack into the right front of Bubba Wallace.
Look at Chris Buescher doing a nice job of getting slowed down. Denny Hamlin threads his way through.
I'm with you, Jeff. I think if you're, if you got a pit, you're going to have to
probably push it as long as you can on this yellow flag. Do you stay out to the very end with the 1 to go signal and then come down pit road?
I think the only car that has to pit is Michael McDowell. He was last on pit road at lap 95. So he is basically on fumes. Take a look on board with the 11.
Oh boy. Watch him right here. Easy. Get down, up.
You can see how he just couldn't get slowed down. Kevin Harvick. Wow, that was...
Not sure what started that.
Yeah.
11 came down on him.
Oh, yeah. Contact with the 11.
Hold her down here. Get her straight. We'll be fine.
I'm sure they're pretty frustrated. No caution. 5 laps down.
81 to go. See Martin Truex Jr. in the 19. 51 of Cole Custer also on pit road. William Byron in front of the field at Atlanta when they were wrecking behind him. Cleanup continues on the front stretch and around the track. As we get ready for the restart, there will be 78 laps to go next time by.
Talk about your windshield into one. Got big lightning. I got rain and the lights up here.
That, of course, is going to be the person leading the race.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's
pouring.
Oh, yeah. It's like a 100-year storm in turn 1 for the leader. It's
downpours, just like it was last week.
Here's the radar.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's no doubt it is closing in, breaking up a little bit in areas, but it's definitely inside that closest ring to the racetrack.
What you know, they can track that rain pretty well. The lightning is the part that's really hard to figure out. We all know the lightning policy. If we do get a lightning strike, then we're down for 30 minutes. So that's what's really hard to try to keep an eye on.
So right there's the magic, guys. We figure they can go 70, 75 green flag laps. Now McDowell's gone 86, but of those 86, you know, 21 of them were yellow. Everyone else has about 16 laps of yellow. So Byron probably has a solid, 25, 28 laps left of fuel. McDowell, though, is going to be on fumes, Marty.
Yeah, but you got to give Travis Peterson, the young, aggressive crew chief for Michael McDowell, a little credit here. You can't hit a home run, Steve, if you don't get up to the plate and take a swing, right? So what he decided to do here is, even when pit road opens, they're not going to pit. They're only going to pit when they get one lap to go, if the fuel holds out even for that. Michael McDowell just told the guys, I'm so proud of you. We have an amazing car. I hope this doesn't take us out of a shot to win the thing. But what about the crew chief, Steve, making that call to at least try something, right?
Absolutely. I love the gamble. You see McDowell barely in at +3 right now in the current position. Now, I will say, though, not to be Debbie Downer, he has to be very careful at 1 to go because of the length of the pit road here in Atlanta. So normally, pit road's mostly just a front stretch. You can pit at 1 to go, service your car, and catch back up. My feel for McDowell is if he pits on the end of the backstretch coming to 1 to go and runs all the way around at this slow pit road speed, I haven't looked at the data, but he might be well behind the pack. You don't want to do that. You don't want to take yourself out. I'm sure Travis has thought of this. He's a very bright crew chief, worked at some big organizations. He's got a great opportunity here, and they're doing a great job. I mean, it takes real leadership to get that car repaired the way it is with the right front fender taped back together and be here running inside, you know, the top 5.
Pit road's still closed, and NASCAR is hearing from drivers and their spotters around the racetrack there are raindrops in the area. So again, we mentioned earlier, caution is what NASCAR is always worried about. They want to make sure that they would never put these cars out on the track in a non-cautious situation.
Well, the problem for McDowell is he really wants a lightning strike that will instantly stop the cars on pit road, because in light rain, NASCAR has shown that they'll keep the cars out there, keep the temperature on the racetrack. To your point, Rick, not if it gets too heavy, but, you know, we're looking at the fuel burn on this 34. He has to be down to basically nothing in this car.
Steve, I like NASCAR not opening pit road right now. If you're hearing rain on the racetrack in certain areas, trying to keep it fair for everybody, try not to open pit road until they feel that they can get, the track. They know the track's not going to get wet and they can go back green.
Yeah, I absolutely have to agree, as much as I don't want to. I want to put it in the positions of the crew chiefs, but I do think with imminent weather and the radar looking the way it is, if it was a pop-up shower, I would disagree with Jeff and say, no, you got to decide if we're going to keep running, not run. That's part of being a crew chief, but that is not a pop-up shower. That's a major storm that's been moving here. So Jeff, I think you and I are on the same page here, but I'm going to leave myself some wiggle room in future races to disagree on the same call.
Well, there comes a time, too, where, if it doesn't start raining in the next few minutes, you got to open pit road. We got to go back racing. They're just trying to be fair to the teams right here.
All right, let's let you know how we got to this point. Richard Childress behind the wheel of the 29. A historic run here. Again, the first win for Kevin Harvick back in 2001 after Dale Earnhardt passed at Daytona.
Then the action started very quickly. Harrison Burton in the 21 just gets free, spins down the backstretch. You see right here, does a great job not hitting anything too significant, but with the flat tires did lose some laps.
Tyler Reddick with perhaps the save of the day. Big wiggle on the front straightaway. Blaney winning stage 1.
Truex has a little trouble on pit road. He would recover and drive back up through the field, but got turned around.
Well, pit road issues were more than just contact. Pit penalties galore. The 25 of William Byron had a penalty, sent him all the way to the back, gave up some track position. He was up front when this occurred.
Damage right here. Big spin by William Byron. We thought he was in big trouble here, but guess what? That's the guy right there that's leading the race.
Then the 5 Larson gets turned around. And this would end his day. He would blow the right front tire trying to get back around to get tires on this car after the spin. Tire explode right here. Destroys that car.
Then the 7 of Corey LaJoie with some contact in the 43. One coming down the racetrack, one coming up. In the end, the 7 gets spun around. Multi-car incident. Not a lot of heavy damage, but multiple cars involved.
See Denny Hamlin, Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman got loose, got up the racetrack, got into the side of Denny Hamlin, spun him around.
And Kevin Harvick goes for a spin on the front straightaway after some contact with the 11.
He would roll around the bottom of the racetrack, get tires, end up losing 5 laps.
And the most recent, 41 of Ryan Preece, 23 of Bubba Wallace spinning. Wreck avoidance, A+ by the field. Missing that 41 sliding through the middle of the track. Marty, give us a weather update. How's it down there?
It is starting to sprinkle just a little bit, so don't believe what the drivers are telling you, like William Byron's team talking about how it's raining really hard here at the track. But what a crazy night for this 24 team. Talked about how fun this race was early on. Then they had the pit road penalty you just saw in the race recap a moment ago. Then the spin that you saw as well. No discussion at all about coming to pit road clearly for this team. All they've talked about is rain choice. And Kim, they're selling that it's pouring everywhere here at Atlanta, even though it's not really.
Well, Marty, for Daniel Suarez in P2, he has put a ton of pressure on himself to win after Ross Chastain and SVG have both gotten wins for Trackhouse Racing. But he came into this race using it as a reset race to kind of take a step back and refocus. Well, that was headed into the race. Now he finds himself in P2. It becomes a little bit tougher, and that anxiety and that pressure starting to ratchet up, Dave, for the driver of the number 99.
Good night for A.J. Allmendinger. He's led 6 laps, but he could not keep the 19 behind him. He said that, the 99 car behind him. He said that car is fast. I couldn't block him. And as you see now, they are bringing the cars down pit road. A.J.'s been providing AccuWeather reports to his team. And the last one was, yep, it's intensifying. So looks like NASCAR has made the call to bring him down pit road, Rick.
Yeah, NASCAR has let us know that they're going to bring the field onto pit road and stop the cars.
Yeah, and Rick, you've said it a couple times. We should remind everybody, Daytona, we've seen cars drive off into rain, cause a big accident. We've seen that happen in New Hampshire. So NASCAR has been very consistent since these issues to beat err on the side of caution. This is speedway racing. And look, pop-up shower in Florida. The entire 3/4 of the field wrecks. The whole front half, the front 3/4, the 3-car of Austin Dillon sneaks by, and gets his way into the playoffs with this win. But that's what we're trying to avoid. It's frustrating, right? Because you say, well, it's barely raining, but the problem is, when does that turn into downpour at 175 miles an hour?
Yeah, and then after, then they went on, they got going to green again. It's all a heck of a race. But after that, NASCAR had made a policy change, and they started putting people outside the racetrack. They actually had they tried some rain detection devices, but basically just what they ended up doing was putting people around the racetrack, outside the racetrack, to observe and see if rain's in the area. So they were probably getting notice that there was rain outside of the racetrack. It was really close. We could see it on the radar. That's why we didn't go back green right there. Just NASCAR learning from that Daytona situation and not making that mistake again.
All the cars about come to a stop on pit road. The crews are bringing the covers out. Rain in the area here in Atlanta. is racing in the streets of Chicago.
But we're winding them up here in 6. Oh no, the 9 of Chase Elliott.
We've seen a little bit of action everywhere. This is the parking lot that we expected.
Here he comes, battle for the lead. Shane Van Gisbergen to the inside.
But Haley is right there, gonna retake the lead. The 91 back to the inside into turn 4.
Gisbergen has been perfect.
Jön Van Gisbergen, ráfordul a célegyenesre. NASCAR történelem Chicagóban.
Van Gisbergen! Bandeira quadriculada para ele. Dave van Gisbergen, hij doet het. Hij wint in Chicago.
Shane Van Gisbergen, mais la performance de Justin Haley quand même est à relever.
Shane Van Gisbergen wygrywa na torze w Chicago.
Van Gisbergen, I think, shocked the NASCAR world a week ago, coming in and beating the best. And I think so many people had so much respect after that race was over.
Well, his performance was kind of the cherry on top of an amazing weekend, right? To see that street course come to life in Grant Park, you know, right on the shores of Lake Michigan, the skyline in the background. I walked the course multiple times before it being what we saw last weekend. I didn't know how it would race. Not disappointed. Great racetrack, and really just a whole spectacular weekend other than the floods we had on Sunday morning of rain.
Torrential downpour.
Oh, man, it was crazy weather.
2 weeks in a row we've had intense racing. Tonight I don't even know how to tell somebody what I saw tonight. Racing in stage 1 and 2, I honestly don't think I've ever seen anything like that before. There's obviously not a track like this, Jeff, on the circuit that kind of combines mile-and-a-half racing with Daytona and Talladega style drafting, and man, it produced tonight. And as this thing continues to age, the surface getting slicker and slicker, that's playing into the treachery out there.
It has created some unbelievable racing, and Steve said it earlier, the drivers, the teams, everybody have just done a great job, and it has been intense. It has been an extremely intense race. It started early with an early caution, and it just kept coming at us.
Well, the common denominator has been rain from Chicago to here now, and that's why we're under a red flag condition. Before the rain came, before the red flag condition, Kim caught up with Ross Chastain.
And Ross Chastain out of the race after an incident on lap 123. What happened?
I'm not sure, Kim. I saw some guys get turned around. Super slick conditions on track. I did not run a single lap wide open in our Worldwide Express Chevy tonight, all weekend in qualifying or here in the race. So definitely a lack of grip for us, and bummer because obviously we had a great speed and great handling last year here. So bummer for my dad turning 60 yesterday. Wanted to, you know, he's at so many races. He doesn't bother him too much, but just for me to give him a good birthday present would have been cool. But you know, it's just it's one of those things. We weren't far enough up where we wanted to be. The wreck happened. I went to the brake pedal, got really tight, and went up the track and tore the right front suspension off of it.
So that was Ross Chastain, and a few have been eliminated from the race. Austin Hill being one of them, Kyle Larson, Ross Chastain, the three that are out. The rain's starting to pick up just a little bit more now as the covers are on the cars. Still out front, it's William Byron. So many great sports moments coming out of this town. The Olympics back in '96. So many great team sports here as well.
We're going to do what Dale would want us to do, and that's race this week.
It's what our race team needed. I don't know really where we'd have been today if things hadn't aspired like they did during 2001 and on. Kevin helped carry us through a lot of tough times.
Harvick trying to hold on. Gordon races to his inside. They touch at the stripe. It's Harvick. Harvick by inches.
This was for Dale, you know. Right there at the end, I was praying for him to help us, and he did.
The medicine that the fans needed, the team, the crew, everyone got another little dose today as Richard Childress, the Hall of Famer, was out on the racetrack in the 29, the car that Kevin Harvick won his first Cup Series race here on the high banks of Atlanta. And then Kevin pulled up beside him during those pace laps. And what a sight it was to see, as we're now under a red flag condition here. The cars have been covered up on pit road. The rain's starting to come down a little bit harder. A big cell is just to the south and west of the racetrack, and it's moving to the east. And so you see it there. This is just the start of it. Again, out front, William Byron scored as the race leader. Suarez, Allmendinger, McDowell, Busch all in the top 5.
And it was some of the most intense racing I've seen in years. I mean, because it wasn't like a 5-lap window or a 10-lap window. 20, 30, 40 laps of 2, 3 wide. I mean, it was just haymakers. I mean, it was heavyweight fight up there.
Well, listening to Ross Chastain talk about his car being out of control, the cars being difficult to drive, being off throttle, just about the entire race.
You see the word on the top of the pylon, checkered. That means that NASCAR has called the race due to weather. William Byron gets his 4th win of the season, his 8th career win overall, and all smiles for young William Byron as he was able to be in the right place at the right time when the weather came in. Marty.
And chatting it over with Michael McDowell, who's also very happy that this thing rained out. Man, I don't even know where to start with your day. You said it was so much fun early on, then the penalty on pit road, then the spin. How did you guys come back and make this happen?
Yeah, just teamwork. You know, honestly, I don't completely understand this one. It's just, it's a really good feeling. I've never had a rain victory like this, but just thanks to Exalta Chevrolet, I mean, it's cool, man. We were through so much throughout the night, spinning through the infield, destroyed the bottom of the car, dragging it around the apron, trying to stay on the lead lap. And at that point, you just don't have the grip. So I was real edgy back in traffic, but Rudy made a good call to pit there and then stay out. And once we got towards the front, it was okay. We could honestly make the right decisions, block okay, and got the lead from AJ and just was able to manage the run. So just a crazy night.
Well, the guys in the booth were saying some of the most amazing racing they have seen behind the wheel. How was the racing tonight?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, I think that's all you can ask for on a super speedway. We want handling to matter. We want to be able to drive the things, and I felt like the first stage was really fun. I was able to make some moves on the bottom, and you're lifting every corner. So it's really it's different than a 550 old style race, but it's more packed up, but it's still handling matters, and guys can make aggressive moves. So I was certainly edgy back in traffic, but Rudy made it, like I said, a good call, and we got it towards the front, and sometimes that's what it takes. Just thankful for the whole team and just staying in it, because we were a lap down, and it could have been over.
So you and I talked a few weeks ago, and you said all the success early in the year, the summer is very important to us. We need to show up. We need to be able to win races. How significant for the 24 team in this championship hopeful run that you are going to go on here to get a win here in the summer?
Yeah, it's really important. I mean, we're just keeping our heads in it. We, over the last few weeks, we finished in the top 15 when we don't have good cars, and the days we have really good cars, we finish in the top 5. So it's just a matter of staying with it, and today was definitely a lucky break. I can't overstate that. We were in the lead, but there's certainly a lot of laps to go. But just thankful for a good team to make good decisions, and like I said, to stay in the race when it's easy to kind of give up and pack it in.
Rick, it's a lucky break, but I'm sure he'll take it. You take wins however you can get them. William Byron with his second Atlanta win.